Alright everyone, welcome back to our Final Fantasy VI playthrough. This is part 8, and a couple things you're going to notice here right off the top. I will just throw this out there. Normally, as you know, these videos are about half an hour a piece, give or take a few minutes. This one is going to be considerably longer than that, simply because I lost track of time when I got to the supposed checkpoint, and there was no chance for me to really go back and save once I started the second part, so this is going to be almost double the length of time that it usually would be. But you know what? I don't care. I think it's fun. We're going to go with it. So we pick up in the town of Jidoor, and we see this guy right here named Alzer. No relation to King Bowser, of course. And we're in his little painting mansion house, and we see a few pictures in here. We're going to look around for a little bit. Ooh, there's a picture of Octros. Sure does look familiar. So anyway, yeah, we're going to pick up in this town. As I said, this video will be a little longer than anticipated. And there's also going to be quite a few cutscenes in here. Some of them are pretty cool, I gotta say. But again, because this video is twice as long, we're going to be skipping quite a few of those cutscenes and trying to bring the length of this video down just a little bit. Remember, the point of these challenges is not to show a complete game playthrough, it's to show us that we're beating the game. So as much as I love the story, we are going to be skipping through parts of it when they pop up. Alright, so basically what we're doing here is we are, again, trying to find Terra after she transformed into what we believe was an Esper and flew away from us in the town of Narsh. And we are looking for the town of Zozo, as we recently learned in this last part. That's where we believe she is right now, and I can tell you that Zozo is directly above us. So right now we're just fighting off a whole bunch of enemies that we've seen before, and again, just use all your most powerful stuff, attacks, spells. You're in pretty good shape right now. Nothing we haven't really seen before yet. We're just going to keep on heading north on the map, and eventually we're going to hook around, do a little U-turn to the left, and that's where we're going to see the town of Zozo. And things get a little bit tricky in there at times, but as long as you are properly prepared and know what to expect, it's nothing you can't handle, like most of the stuff we've seen. Now right here, we're trying to do a lot of attacks that will hit all enemies at the same time. So this is where Edgar's Flash comes into effect. That's a pretty good one to use. You can use Celeste's Ice Attack. All the other ones are pretty good as well. Sabin's Aura Bolt is good. Whatever you want to do here is fine. I try to use hit-alls just to make these enemies go down quicker. And we're going to keep on moving north, and we're just going to check a couple things here. Everything looks to be good. It's much of the same. A lot of the same old enemy types. So if you'll forgive me, we're just going to skip on ahead here, do a little fast forward until we reach the town of Zozo. Okay, we've officially arrived in the town of Zozo, and as you can see, it's kind of a dreary, downtrodden place here. And a couple things you're going to see. There are a number of enemies here that can cause quite a few problems if you don't take them seriously, like this one right here, the Hades Gigas. I tend to avoid these things at all costs in early going because they can cast a spell called Magnitude 8, which is essentially an Earth-based Quake spell. And it has the tendency to wipe out your entire party at low levels if you're not careful, so yeah, they're not too high in terms of health totals, but don't take the chance. Just run away from them. Avoid it at all costs. So that's what we did there, and we're going to take out some of these enemies here. This is a really good section of the game right now at this point to really level your characters up, learn some new abilities, spells, if they're magic users like Celeste. And there's a brand new thing that we're going to learn for Edgar here. Well, not really learn, but tool we're going to pick up. We're going to get the chainsaw. And the chainsaw is right in here. Now to do that, you have to reset these clock hands. You're going to do it just like this. You're going to go 6, and you're going to go 10, and you're going to go 50. If you do that correctly, this staircase will rise, or move to the side rather. You'll go up the steps, and right in this chest is the chainsaw. Now the chainsaw is very similar to the drill in that it inflicts massive damage to one enemy. But the major difference is that there is a chance that it can outright one-shot kill the enemy as well. The problem is that the attack has a chance to miss. So, for that reason, even though it is a very good tool to use, I still don't use it nearly as much as the drill, because it has a guaranteed hit attack there. Attack hit rate, rather. So anyway, now that we have that, that gives Edgar a little bit more firepower to use. We're going to continue on down into the town of Zozo here, and what we are doing, once again, is looking for Terra. And on the way, we're going to continue to make our characters stronger here, and we're just going to keep on moving. Now, the way that we knew how to get into that, move that clock out of the way, and we knew it was 6:10:50, was because we had done a lot of exploring and hinting around earlier. Really, I knew the answer already because I looked it up, because I haven't played this game in a few minutes. But yes, had you not known that, you would have had to play the game, look for hints from characters or NPCs. And the problem is that everybody in this town lies. They don't tell the truth. So knowing that, if an NPC tells you that the hour hand is on the 4, clearly you know that's not the correct answer. So you have to basically write down all the hints that all these NPCs give you and then deduce the correct answer here. Or you can just look it up online. Of course, back then in 1994, the internet really wasn't much of a thing. So we are very lucky and blessed to have that cheat available to us, although I really didn't need it in this case. So anyway, enough about that. We're going to continue on here, and we're in a pretty critical situation right now in terms of health. So we're going to go ahead and bring one of these guys back with a Phoenix down. Luckily, we have a few. Luckily, we have a magic user in Celeste, and we're going to take advantage of that and cure everybody back up to basically full health. Celeste is going to get a lot of use here, so it is useful and handy to make sure that she has some tinctures in disposal here. So we're walking all the way up. And there's a couple things that we're looking for here before we go to find Terra. Yes, we got the chainsaw for Edgar, but there's also a nice little relic accessory for Locke that we're going to get, which is going to make him a hell of a lot more useful. And you're going to see what that is coming up here very shortly. Now, one thing that you noticed here, and a reason we were put into a tricky spot early, was because that Slam Dancer used a spell called Fire 2, and it basically nearly wiped out our entire party here. So if you ever encounter her anywhere in this game, early on, like we did here, you should make it a priority to take out the Slam Dancers first, and then focus on the smaller gobbledygooks, as they're called here, with a terrible misspelling because of character limitations. So take out the Slam Dancers, get rid of everybody else, and then it's just a cakewalk all the way to the end here, and you're building stats all the way at the same time. Now you have two places to go. We check the one to the right, go up the staircase here, and we have two doors. We're going to check the one on the right. We have a tincture, which is very useful for Celeste. She may be needing that later on. These preemptive attacks are very useful to have. We're just going to take them out quickly. Love this chainsaw. Love going Jason Voorhees on these guys. Nothing too tough here. So we get rid of this onslaught of enemies here. Gonna move on down, and there's one other door to the left we're gonna take a quick look at here. Once we take care of this last harvester. Not too tricky. Get a lot of good stuff. And you're going to see as we leave, this door over here to the left, it is rusted shut. So unfortunately, we can't do anything with that door right now, but we will be going in there later in the game, when we come back to Zozo a little bit later on. We're going to have a lot of tricky encounters here with these Slam Dancers, so again, make sure to take the Slam Dancers out quickly, take care of everybody else. Again, it's going to be a lot of the same old stuff here. So we're just going to keep fighting on through. Basically, just follow the path we're laying out for you, and you won't have much of a problem until we get up to the, I guess, boss of this town right before finding Terra. Now, one thing you want to be aware of with these fights here, maybe you've seen it earlier, is that these harvester enemies carrying the bags, they have a tendency to use potions. So you want to make sure that you're hitting hard. Any attacks under 250 aren't going to do you much help, because clearly those potions will offset that. So hit hard, hit fast, just like you do with anything else here, and we'll just continue on through to the next part of this town. Alright, we come out of hyperspeed and enter this room and pick up the Thief Glove, which is a very, very important relic for Locke exclusively. So what the Thief Glove does is it changes the steal function into capture, and it ensures that you not only have an attempt to steal an item from an enemy, but you also deal damage. So it's like a regular fight attack with a guaranteed chance to steal an item. So very, very significant item. Make sure you always have it equipped on Locke at all times, which of course we have done and we will do for the remainder of the game here. As I'm sure you know, a lot of these bosses will have significant items on them, and it's always important to make an attempt to steal. At least now doing it, you can actually cause damage to the boss at the same time without wasting chances on an attack. So that takes care of that. We've picked that up. Now we're going to continue on with the rest of Zozo here before we get up to the boss of this particular area. So we're going to have a few more fights with the Slam Dancer, and we can actually make some attempts at stealing like we're doing here, and capturing, and ooh, we actually stole something interesting. We stole a Thief Knife. Now, a Thief Knife really isn't that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things and the weapons and items we have. Obviously, we're going to continue to use Locke's currently equipped weapon because I like the fact that we can keep him in the back row here and half the damage that he would normally receive. I think it's a very unique skill set here. So we're going to keep it on. We're going to keep taking down enemies here until we get up to the boss, which is coming up very soon. So we'll chime back in when we get there. Alright, you may have noticed if you were paying attention there that Sabin just got a brand new blitz. It is called the Fire Dance, and it is an attack that will hit all enemies on screen for very decent damage with a fire element here. So take advantage of it. It is a nice alternative to using magic if you don't have magic spells yet, which of course we don't. So Sabin is absolutely going to make use of the Fire Dance, and it's effective against the upcoming boss here of this section. So very good timing to pick that up. Sometimes when I get here I have it, sometimes I don't. Not a big deal, because actually we're going to be picking something else up for Sabin in the not too distant future that will also help out with this boss fight. So here we go, we're very close, and as you can see, if you look out of the corner of your eye, the boss avatar NPC is right up there at the top of the steps, and we will be fighting him as soon as we get there. So here we go, fighting on up, moving on up, taking care of the rest of these gobbledygooks with a Fire Dance. Let's see how many we can take out in one shot here. Can we get them all? Can we get any of them? Yeah, we got one at least. So you still got to wear them down a little bit, but at least the Fire Dance weakened them up, so any other attack is going to take it out here. And I love that drill, love the chainsaw, love the Fire Dance, love everything here. And that Thief Glove is just amazing. I lost track of how much stuff I've stolen all the way up the top of Zozo here. We're continuing to move up, and we should be fighting the boss unless we go in here. What do we got? And the Fire Knuckles. So that is a weapon that can be equipped on Sabin as well. And his battle power is going to go up very significantly. If you noticed, about 40 points of battle power, attack power there, just in that one little weapon. So Sabin is going to be dealing significantly higher damage than he used to. Combined with the fact that he has a Fire Dance attack blitz now, he's going to be doing big time damage. So here's Dadaluma. He is the boss of Zozo. We're going to be fighting him. He is a karate monk looking thing. And check that out, almost immediately after picking up the Thief Glove, we put it to great use and we steal a jewel ring off of Dadaluma here. We'll have to test that out and see what it does in just a little bit. So we take care of that, and basically all you're doing is hitting them with the hardest attacks that you have. Now, yes, we have Celeste. She could use ice, but honestly, we're just going to power through with the strongest attacks. Sabin is going to do big time damage with his Fire Dance. You could use the Fire Knuckle if you want. Edgar can do whatever tool he wants. I do recommend using the drill on all bosses, as you're going to see here. The chainsaw, although the chainsaw does deal more damage technically, if it goes for the Jason Voorhees insta-kill, it's going to miss. Alright, it does not work on bosses with very rare exception. In fact, I don't think it works at all, in quite honesty. Now, occasionally, when Dadaluma gets low on health, if you don't deal critical hits to him, he will call in two cronies, the fighter Iron Fist here, so you have to deal with him quickly. I recommend focusing continually on Dadaluma. Don't worry about his sidekicks here. Just keep focusing on them. They will go down. This is not a very difficult fight. You just have to bring the fight to him and be extremely aggressive. He will go down just like that, and you will acquire yet another thief knife, which is kind of anticlimactic, considering that we've already stolen one not too long ago in this run up the Zozo Towers here. We have one more fight with a Hades Gigas giant here, so we're going to continue to run away from them as we have in the past. And then we will continue to go through the door, and let's see what we got here. Looks like a pretty significant room. A couple chests on either side, make sure you get them. Now those running shoes are very, very important. They will cast haste on whatever character they're equipped on. Haste, in case you don't know, makes your character's battle time, an active battle time bar, go quicker. So you can do a lot more actions in the heat of battle than you would normally. X Potion, as we know, already refills your health to full status, but not your magic. And there is Terra right there on the bed, and it looks like she is possibly in pain, half conscious, recovering, we don't know. But whatever's going on, someone named Rama tells us that she's scared. He's been stalking and spying on us? Yeah, who the heck are you? Yep, she's definitely our friend. We'll let this cutscene go ahead and play out. Yep, her name's Terra. What's it to you? Ooh, looks like Terra's having a little spasm there. And whoa, she's moving all over the room. And Locke's trying to figure it out. She's undamaged. Aha, Rama is an Esper. That's right. So basically here what's going on is Rama is going to kind of fill us in and educate us on some of the backstory as to how and why humans and Espers coexisted, which they actually did for quite a while before the ancient war of the Magi, or Magi, whatever you want to call it, which destroyed all of human civilization in the world. So he's given us some backstory here. You can feel free to read it if you want, but that's essentially what's happening here. And then what's going to happen after this is we are finally going to gain the ability to use magic. But how do we equip it? How do we use it? Well, you're going to see very shortly once Rama does a couple things for us. So we come out of the next part of the cutscene. Basically, Rama tells us exactly how the Espers work and how powers are passed on and things like that. Once they die, they turn into Magicite, and then the Magicite can be artificially infused into the human, and that is how magic is passed on, and they gain all those powers. So that's what we've learned here, and as we see right about now, Rama is going to pass on his powers as well, meaning he's going to, I don't think commit suicide, but obviously we know you can't become Magicite until you die, so I guess he committed suicide. Nice message in a Nintendo game. So anyway, now we have 4 pieces of Magicite, and wouldn't you know, we have 4 party members. Convenient, right? So basically what that means is you can give 1 piece of Magicite to each of your party members. The interesting thing about how it works is that each piece of Magicite has different magical powers and properties. There's different spells you can learn. And the other great thing about Magicite is that depending on which one you have equipped to which party member, there is a special level up bonus that you will see. And they're very apparent when you look at the skills. So for instance, the first one here is Rama, and that is mainly focused on electrical lightning attacks. Then you have other 3 ones like Stray, Siren, and I think Kirin is the 3rd and 4th one, yes. So each of these Espers and skills have different properties, as you see. Bolt. The other ones here, we've got Kirin is very good for curing, Cure and Cure 2. Stray is mainly for status inducing. And then you have Siren, pretty similar. It has status inducing spells and the fire element as well. Now, as you can tell by the big screen here, there are many, many different Espers that you can acquire. Some of them are given to you automatically to give you a good starting range, and some of the Espers can only be acquired through playing the game and going to special side quests to attain them. By no means are you required to collect them all. It's nothing like Pokemon, although if you want to acquire a good magical array assortment, I encourage you to find as many espers as you possibly can. So again, make sure that you determine which espers you have. You can determine exactly which espers to give to which people. For instance, if we look at Celeste, we know that Celeste is a native ice user, so I'm going to give her any ice spells. Also, she's a native mage, so give her anything that's going to help up her cure abilities as well. Sabin is an attacker. You can really do whatever you want with him. And the important thing to note is that eventually all of your party members are going to have to be fairly proficient at attacking spells. And I also would encourage you to make sure that all members of your party are proficient in curing and healing. So they're going to be doing Cure, Cure 2, Cure 3 eventually when you get it. Make sure that all of your party members eventually, by latter half of the game, know all of the basic spells, because there will be points where magic is essential to complete the game. So anyway, we come down out of these Zozo towers and buildings back at the beginning, and we're going to be continuing on to the next section of this game. We are being told that we have to form a party, very similar to the last time, and we're going to keep it the same. We're going to keep the same party members. Cyan and Gaw will stay behind, and technically, if you read the story here, they're going to be heading back to Narsh. They really didn't even have to come out because there was no way in the world we were ever going to pick them here. Cyan is just too slow, and Gaw is just not very reliable until you get into the latter half of the game, and you can build up his rage skills. So, we're going to learn quite a bit more about the story here as we continue on out of Zozo. Initially, this was the point where I had planned to stop this section of the game. Here's a funny part with the ghost. He'll tell you exactly how espers work if you don't already know. Obviously we do, so we're going to skip that part. And we're going to leave the town of Zozo, and we won't be coming back there until the latter half of the game. Very important that you use a tent and save your progress if you haven't already, if you want to stop right here, that is. But the tents, of course, will refill your health and your MP for all party members, and that is very important to remember now, because now that you have espers, everyone in your party will now have the ability to cast magic spells. Now bear in mind, early on, we just acquired the espers here, and we just equipped them, and you will see that every character now has the magic ability, right? That's great. The only problem is, just because you see the magic item line menu selection doesn't mean that you have spells that you can use right at the moment. You have to learn them, and the only way that you learn those spells is through fighting enemies and earning magic points. The tougher the battles, the more enemies that you fight, typically the more magic points you're going to earn in the course of a battle. And all of those espers have magic multipliers. Some of those spells can be earned far, far quicker than other ones can. Make sure that you realize that and you catch that before going and equipping certain espers and learning certain spells. So we head back into the town of Jidoor here, and we're just looking around and making sure that we have everything that we need for attacking and defending. And I believe that we pretty much do. We've gone through Zozo. We've gotten everything that we need right now, and we're just going to continue on and see what we can possibly do. We're making sure we got everything, and I think we are good to go. We pretty much are. The only other thing we think we can possibly do is maybe get a shield for Sabin, because he had the gauntlet equipped for so long. We're going to go ahead and equip everything right now and see what we've got. I think we're pretty good on most aspects. Yeah, Sabin only has the weak, measly buckler shield, so we're going to go ahead and upgrade that to a mithril shield, which is still nothing, that exciting. But anything at this point is better than a buckler, so we're going to go ahead and upgrade that. Sabin's doing pretty good overall on his nice little stats here, for attacking at least. So we're going to head back up into this house here, straight ahead, and this stupid NPC won't get out of the way. We're going to go into this mansion, and there's a man named the Impresario talking about Maria. Maria, huh? Who's this Maria? Is it a playable character? Well, no, it's not. I'll tell you and I'll spoil the secret, it's not. But given this person is an impresario, Maria, this has to do with an act, a play, perhaps an opera, hint, hint. The person dropped it off. What are we talking about? Aha, director of the opera. So we were correct in our assumption. We're reading Wandering Gambler. Who's the Wandering Gambler? Born on a farm. Ah, who's this up on an airship? Well, we knew this had to come at some point. Every Final Fantasy game has one. Blackjack playing world traveling sounds like my kind of guy. His name is Setzer. That's right. Setzer is one of my personal favorite characters in the game. I've always liked luck-based characters because of the high risk, high reward damage output, and he is definitely one of them. We are going to have a chance to play as Setzer a little bit later in this game, but first we have to acquire him after meeting him at this opera place. Or opera house, I guess. So first things first, we have to get there to set up an encounter with Setzer. And how we get there? We're just going to head down to the opera house. Now, you could walk down there. It's not too difficult of a trek, but taking a chocobo down there is a lot quicker and safer with less random enemy encounters. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take a chocobo here for a pretty inexpensive sum of GP. And we're just going to head on down south. Down the road. Yeah, pretty south, easy, narrow stretch here. We're going to take it all the way down to the Opera House, which is right here. Go ahead and hop off. You could do some small battles out here if you want to try to build up your health. But be aware that once you go in there and you talk to the impresario, you are locked into the Opera House until you are basically at the point where you complete the opera and hopefully meet up with Setzer here. So don't go in there until you're ready to go through with this whole cutscene. Or this whole scenario, part of the game. We are ready, so we're not really concerned. Alright, and now we have an interesting story bit here. It's not too troublesome to read through. So basically what's happening here, I'll go ahead and talk you through it. We're trying to figure out how to meet up with Setzer here. We're trying to talk about a plan or a plot to get him to kidnap Maria, and obviously Maria is the one that was going to star in this opera, and since we don't want the actual Maria to fall to any harm, we're going to use someone else as a decoy, meaning Celeste. So we're hoping that Setzer is going to see this opera, be impressed, come down, swoop in, and take Celeste for himself, and then we can kind of swoop in ourselves on Setzer and get him to be part of our party and join the cause. So that's exactly where we're at right now. So there we go, the plot is unveiled. It looks like we've got everybody on board, except for Celeste, who is still clinging to the fact that she is anything but a damsel in distress. And we're going to get a pretty interesting, funny little snippet cutscene here. She dashes right through the door for some reason, and it looks like yeah, she's clearly getting ready to sing. Yeah, not much of a singer. It's unfortunate back in the days of the 16-bit era, you couldn't really hear a real clarity voice, with very rare exception with a few instances. Ultros, ooh. We all thought we were rid of him way back in the late river, but nope, he's still around. Nobody ends up reading his letter. They'll read it eventually, just not now. Alright, so basically what's going to happen is the entire party is going to go into the opera hall. They're going to prepare to see an opera, but they're not actually going to watch it. Well, actually they are, but we're not, because it kind of drags the video down. So we're going to go into 4x rage speed and let this play out. You can kind of watch this story if you're really interested. Not really what this video is about though, so we'll just let it play out, and then we'll pick right up with the remainder of the gameplay with this opera house. Alright, so we regain control of Locke, and he's pretty much fed up with this opera just like we are at points. So we're going to get up, go around and explore, and you're going to see that there is no way to leave the opera once it's underway. So once you go in the door, you're basically stuck here, so make sure that you're ready to go before you walk in the first time. But the point of this is we're going to walk into the backstage area, back of house area, I guess. We're going to talk to Celeste and make sure that she's doing okay and prepared and all those things. Locke getting a little blushed and red, looking at Celeste. Clearly he sees Rachel in her, and that's exactly what's going on. Just in case there's any doubt. Yep, that's exactly what's going on. Celeste knows the whole story. Yep, pretty cool. Alright, so Celeste is about to go out there, but before she does, and before we do for that matter, we need to check the score, because we are going to be required to sing certain lines in this next upcoming scene, which is kind of cool. But make sure that you know the script, because if you don't and you make a mistake, you're going to have to do this all over again. So fortunately, I played this game more times than I care to count, and I know the script. And I'm sure most of you probably know the script too. But just in case you don't, there are 3 plot points and 3 decisions that you have to make right here. We're going to show you the correct options to choose, and then we'll skip right to the end of this singing scene. So the first one right here, you're going to be choosing "Oh My Hero." And for the record, if you choose the other option, or really any of the wrong options, it will immediately end the scene and take you back to where you get a chance to start over again. Now, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you get 3 tries. If you screwed up 3 times, it essentially acts as a game over, and you have to start from the next, or the last checkpoint that you had. Alright, so we went with the first one, "Oh My Hero." The second choice is coming up right about now, and we're going to be choosing the option of "I'm the Darkness." So we'll go with that one. The song will continue. Celeste is going to start moving toward the steps. Let her do her little thing. I always thought this was an amazing attempt at... I mean, the music in general for this game is just outstanding. It's still, to this day, one of my favorite soundtracks for any video game ever. And even though the vocals are obviously non-existent, it's still incredible. "Must I" is the third option. "Must I." So we go with that one. And that'll basically take us up to the next section of this dance and song sequence here. So Celeste is now going to finish her song. She will begin to climb up the steps, and there will be a dancing sequence of all things that we have to complete. So Celeste is finishing up right now. She's climbing her steps. And we're going to be having a little dancing scenario. So check this out. Basically, Prince Ross is going to come down the top version of this, or the top set of steps, and we're going to be dancing with him. Basically, he'll move to certain areas, and then we have to move to certain areas and hit the A button in order to trigger the next part of the dance and move forward with this part of the game. So he's going to go over to the far right, then he'll go to the left, and then he's going to go way back up north. Ha ha ha. Yeah, that was so funny, Draco. You're hilarious. Alright, that's the end of the dancing sequence. Celeste is going to move to the top, and that's pretty much going to end this part. We just have to let it play out. So since it's kind of pointless to really do much more here, we can't do much else until this part of the opera ends. We're going to let this go ahead zoom, as it's already being done right now, and then we'll continue with the next part of the game. Well done, Celeste, indeed. So we complete the opera singing dance portion of this game, and it looks like we just accidentally passed up the letter. So that was the letter that Ultros tried to give us the first time, so he slipped it through the door. And now we know exactly what's going on. You're going to jam up our opera, huh? You can take your inky jam and shove it straight up your tentacles. Alright, so clearly we know something bad's about to happen here, and no, we still can't leave the opera. We're stuck here. So we're going to go tell the impresario what's up. And if you haven't already done so, this is a good chance to make sure you got all the right equipment, items, and relics equipped. We're going to have a fight coming up pretty soon. So we got another cutscene. We're going to watch one more little small act here. And then we're going to get control of our party. And we're going to have to go track down Ultros and stop the offensive and save the opera. So let's see how this goes once this cutscene finishes. And here we see, this is what Ultros is up to. He's going to shove a 4-ton anvil down on the top of Celeste here. 8,000 pounds is going to ruin your day pretty fast. So we've got to move pretty quickly to stop this evil plan in action here. Alright, now, this is a timed event. We have 5 minutes to get to Ultros and stop this from happening. If we do not get there in time, you can guess what happens. It counts as a game over. So we got to work quickly. Go to the right-hand side, you're going to hit the far switch on the far right, just like this, and then you're going to circle all the way back around, down to the impresario, and over to the left-hand balcony here, just like this. So go down. Do not bother going out and leaving this room on the far south ends. Just go up and around like this, and then you're going to take the left-hand room, just like here. You go up these set of steps, and this will lead you to the rafters on the very top. Now, you're going to have some forced fights here. Sometimes you can circle around and navigate around these rats. Other times you'll have no choice but to fight them. Now when you get here, you're going to have several different colors of rats. You have vermin and sewer rats. The one in the middle, the gold one, is the one you want to focus on, because if you don't take it out quickly, it's going to call in backups, and it's going to make the fight and battle even longer than necessary. So take out the center vermin rat as quick as you possibly can. If you have extra time and you want to level up a little bit, then why not? But honestly, 5-minute timer is not as much time as you think it is. And thankfully, we get pretty lucky with preemptive and side attacks here. You do not want to run the risk of having incorrect blitz inputs like I have here multiple times over these last couple playthroughs and uploads. I don't know why. So this may be a good section of the game to avoid using half circle rolls and quarter circle rolled blitz inputs. It's like the aura bolt and fire blitz. You may want to stick with the suplex or even the fist pummel for surefire damage here and no missed inputs. So make your way around. You're going to go down over to the right and then circle up to the left, and you should be able to get to Ultros with any luck with somewhere around 2.5 to 3 minutes to spare, depending on how quickly you can take down these rats. It's not too tricky. Just make sure that you use strong attacks, magic if you have to, and remember to always take out the center gold vermin to avoid any backups getting called in here. And in fact, you may see that in one of these cases here. So we'll see what happens, and yep, that's exactly why you want to take out the center one as quick as possible. 5 minutes will go quickly if you do not act quickly. Alright, one more fire dance. Should take these rats out, and then we will have our second encounter with Ultros. We'll have to see if he's learned any new tricks or if he's any tougher than the first time around. So we're going to keep moving on through. We finally get to him with 2.5 minutes to spare, basically. Make sure that all of your party members are fully healed. It's not a bad idea to move your party members to the back row also if you're not very confident. I think I'm in good shape. I'm not going to bother this time. Alright, so we catch up to Ultros, and whoa, he's going to shove us all the way down onto the stage. And whack, we took everyone out. And just like that, the opera's over. Game's over. We beat the game. No, I'm just kidding. Of course not. We're not even halfway through the game yet, folks. 2 heroes are flattened. Who will win the girl? Well, could that be Setzer? I mean, that's who we were here for, to try to lure out, isn't it? Nope, looks like Locke recovers. Oh, you gotta improvise. What you gonna do, Locke? Aha. Locke with his superior acting skills. Locke will save her. Yeah. And Ultros is kind of getting into it right now. Alright, I always found that part humorous. So here we go. Fight with Ultros, part 2. So, picks up, he's got 2,550 health. He's still weak to both fire and bolt, so continue to use those if you have them. Sabin obviously has both, so use your most powerful stuff. Sabin has the fire dance, so if you feel pretty confident with your finger inputs, go ahead and use it. You should also have the fire knuckle by this point in the game if you picked it up in Zozo, which we clearly did. Now here's an interesting attack that Ultros just used, Acid Rain. Acid Rain will do direct damage, obviously, but it also causes small damage over time, and while it doesn't seem like a lot initially, it does add up. So you want to make sure that you antidote, heal that, cure yourself if necessary. Fortunately, we're doing pretty well right now. We're all over 300 HP apiece. And go ahead, Acid Rain me all you want. You can't get double damage over time, you dumbass. So we're going to keep on moving. Locke does have the Bolt spell, so we're going to go ahead and use it. And I don't recall, I think Edgar might have it as well. We made pretty short work of that fight, didn't we? Boom, gone. What do we get for our troubles? Lousy 2 GP. Yeah, that was a pretty quick fight, and the reason it was so quick was because we prepared and we put the right espers on the right people and we learned the right spells. So that's why it's very important to look at what you got. Prepare for the right fights. Boom, their sets are coming on down. Spins around like a record. And takes her away. All the way back to his airship, we assume. Yes, that's him. Interesting improvision there. And that will do it for the first act of this opera. And sadly, we will not be sticking around for Act 2. We're going to be chasing Setzer up in his airship. We're going to see what happens here. So basically, the rest of this entire sequence, up until we get control again, is going to talk about how we bring Setzer into the fold and how he's going to essentially become a party member. So Setzer will be joining us as an active team member that we can switch in and out of here. And he's a very nice team member to use if you don't mind luck being a factor in all your fighting. A lot of his attacks are luck-based. He likes to throw darts and dice and a lot of things that you would see in a bar and a tavern, right? So if that's your kind of play style, then Setzer is an amazing character to use. He has very high damage potential, but also potential to miss a lot. So just kind of take that into consideration here. So basically what's happening here, as you can see, they are telling Setzer of the plan. Setzer's saying, I'm not having any of it unless Celeste is going to be my wife. Celeste ain't going to have any of it, but she tricks him. At least we think. Yep, a coin with two sides. So, using that double-sided coin from Edgar gets Setzer on board. And we are now on board the airship here. And Setzer is going to take us all the way to the Imperial capital. So if you were following the story, what we are going to attempt to do at this point is we are going to go straight into the Imperial capital of Vector. It's going to be a nice, slow cutscene. Straight into the capital. This is one of my favorite cutscenes in the game here. I just like how it's dark and eerie, the ominous music, and you're moving nice and slow. You see the searchlights, the spotlights in the background here. I've always found this to be a great dramatic touch moving into this part of the game here, moving into the capital of Vector. So when we get to Vector, we're going to be on the southern continent of the map, and the game's going to get a little bit tougher. Not extremely tricky, but you're going to start fighting some tougher enemies for sure. You're going to have to be, very prepared, and there are going to be some towns here where we have a chance to beef up our weapons and armor and items and stuff. So make sure as soon as you land, you're going to be right outside the town of Albrook, I believe, and you're going to go right in there. Go ahead, beef yourself up, and then you can move on to the next part of the game. But we're going to save that for the next part. So we're going to go ahead and do just that, and we will see you in part 9 of the Final Fantasy VI playthrough.